AEW headed into 2024 with many of its top draws from the previous year absent. CM Punk, fired. MJF and Adam Cole, injured. Kenny Omega on indefinite leave due to illness. But the AEW roster was still stacked with amazing main event level talents such as Swerve Strickland, FTR, Sting and Darby Allin, and current champion Samoa Joe. But not every match and segment was going to be a 10 out of 10. So in this video we will look at the lowest rated matches that aired on AEW Dynamite between January and February of 2024. If you enjoy this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified when new videos drop. These were the top 10 worst matches on AEW Dynamite 2024. Number 10. I loved at the start when Penta did his Zero Miedo thing and Hangman responded with cowboy shit. Good start to this match, but both men letting the other know that they wouldn't back down. Spot of the match. Hangman tried a slingshot splash from the ring to the floor on Penta. However, Penta rolled back into the ring. Hangman was able to land on his feet, but he turned around right into a tope con hilo from Penta. Awesome. Honorable mention, the Death Valley driver that Hangman hit on Penta. Damn, that was brutal. Penta tried to do his arm breaker move on Hangman, but Hangman countered it by whipping Penta off him. Then Hangman scrambled to his feet and hit a pop-up powerbomb on Penta. Nice sequence. Penta hit a very cool Made in Japan. What made it extra cool is Penta held on to Hangman's arm for the pin attempt, nearly securing the win. The finish was Penta ducking a buckshot lariat attempt, but turned around into a clothesline from Hangman Adam Page that was followed by a buckshot that Penta could not avoid, and the 1-2-3. The cage match rating was a 7 out of 104 votes. I loved how they built the match before the commercial and then cooked when the commercial concluded. Excellent TV wrestling match. The winner was Hangman Adam Page. I looked for bad reviews of this match and I almost found none. Everybody seemed to love this, which is odd because there's so much negativity surrounding Hangman with his original title run that I feel like if they would have built to it with matches of this caliber, there wouldn't have been that negativity around his title run. And honestly, I feel like if they want to put the belt on Hangman again, it is going to be met with a lot more respect than it was originally. Number 9. The crowd was loud for Private Party at the beginning of this one. Spot of the match. During the picture-in-picture, Darius Martin hit a combination DDT and Scorpion Death Drop on both members of Private Party. Cool move. Quinn hit a suicide dive on Darius on one side of the ring, slid back into the ring, hit a suicide dive on Dante on the other side of the ring, slid back into the ring, hit a somersault plancha onto Darius, slid back into the ring and did a somersault plancha onto Dante, then did some hip thrust before hitting a 450 splash from the top rope for a near fall in the span of about a minute. So he is definitely still in good shape. Honorable mention as well to Darius, who hit an awesome looking guillotine Pele kick. The finish was Private Party hit the Gin and Juice, which is one of the coolest double team finishing moves in wrestling on Dante. Then Quinn rolled up Darius Martin and held the top rope for the 1-2-3. Number 8. Haven't been this disappointed in a long time. Thought this was going to be a lot smoother, but it definitely felt like both were carrying packs of weights on those boots. Not sure why it was so slow and uneventful, even though I'm a fan of the ending, due to it highlighting Christian's character motivations.
But I scored another way that night.
This was still below satisfactory. 2.75? I could sit here and I could say the finish was this and the finish was that and it should have been this and it should have been that. But I yelped like a schoolboy when Mother Wayne hit the low blow on Adam Copeland. So that's why I'm giving this match a 4 out of 5. Fucky finish and all. I thought this was an exciting matchup and I like that it's galvanized Daniel Garcia and Adam Copeland together against the patriarchy. The issue with finishes like this in modern wrestling is the heat goes on the promotion for booking it and not for the heels for stealing your satisfying finish. And I
felt the heat was on the heel, especially with Christian like making out with the belt. Like, guys, did you see Christian make out with the belt? Maybe you missed the part where Christian made out uncomfortably with the belt. How do you not hate this guy? He still came off slimy. And I think the problem with the finish was commentary talking about how clever Christian was for doing this because of the rankings. Okay, that's bullshit. I didn't need that. Christian came out just so that he could fuck up Adam and Daniel, and that's it. In my headcanon, he didn't come out to prevent one of them from challenging him. That's all bullshit. He came out to put a beat down on Adam and Daniel in one go and to make out with his belt and go to the back. And that's enough for me. The limb arm work by Copeland was nicely done in this match, and a perfectly acceptable change of pace to differentiate it from more urgent, less plodding style that most Dynamite matches exhibit. I also like the counters and slips during the drop-down trip sequence towards the beginning of the match, extremely fluid and believable. Garcia's dragon screw leg whip from the top rope was sold well and safely by Copeland as well. The no contest finish is a little disappointing, but it makes sense from a booking perspective, and I'm okay with that as long as it's used infrequently. And yeah, we haven't seen a ton of fucky finishes in AEW. It really is an infrequent thing, and honestly, people getting so bent up out of shape out of that over this match, I mean, it just goes to show how much we expect out of AEW as far as what's on television. Like, this was a really solid match. Was it pay-per-view level? No. That's why I kept it at a 4. Very few things. It's amazing that we do get pay-per-view levels on pay-per-view match quality on Dynamite, a free TV show. We often get that, like at least once per episode. We usually get something that is approaching something you would see on a pay-per-view. And I think that's amazing that we get that like on a weekly basis, and sometimes even on Collision, and then sometimes even on Rampage. So we are spoiled as shit over here in AEW, where we can dump on a match as good as this. The audience was into it. They hated Christian. They were booing Edge when he was healing on the audience. They were cheering Garcia. What the fuck else do you guys need?
Number 7.
Not a bad match for what it set out to do. I do think it kind of failed. For one, Queen Amanada was the one I came away from this match thinking had a more promising showing. Most of this was also unfortunately behind a commercial and not very long anyway. May looked good, but not wait months to debut in her ring kind of good that they did here. The main takeaway was the debut of another wrestler after the match anyways. That debut being the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo. And this was a really interesting match to kind of watch a month later, kind of go back and revisit. I was here in the arena for this, and it's fascinating how this played out. After on TV, we never saw Mariah May in the ring again, at least for another couple of months. Queen Amanada has been showing out on Ring of Honor and looking great there after this. And Purrazzo, of course, is the star and is on TV like every week and enters a big program with Toni Storm. And Mariah May has slipped into the background. Now, as I'm recording this, I have not yet watched the Revolution pay-per-view. And I have a feeling that Mariah May is going to play a role in the match between Purrazzo and Storm. But yeah, I got to agree with this incredibly, the worst review that is out here is kind of the most accurate. It is what it is. I mean, Amanada honestly looks more exciting than Mariah May. And Mariah May after this does nothing, at least for a couple of months.
Number 6.
Of course, this match had the spot where all the women do the suplex. Does AEW know how to have a multi-woman tag match without one? Outside of the closing moments, this was incredibly boring. The match was a bit boring, the action in the ring wasn't bad, everybody had their moment to show something, but it wasn't exciting. The end of the match was cool with everyone sharing their spot with a suplex, and Anna Jay having a big moment in tribute to Brody Lee. And guys, that's what it was. It was a tribute to Brody Lee. This whole show, this whole episode had a different tone because it was, in effect, a homecoming for AEW, coming back to Daily's place after being gone for so long. and a tribute to Brody Lee. And so they had a couple of 8-person tag matches. Out of the 2 matches, I like the women one better, which is crazy because it got a lower rating on the cage match. But who cares what these guys think, because they can't even agree whether the suplex spot was good or whether the suplex spot was bad. And why the hell does this confuse people so much? Like, wrestling is stupid, guys. Did you not notice that half the shit that goes on in a wrestling ring is stupid? Like, an 8-person match at its core is dumb. And if you are watching wrestling for as long as I assume you've watched wrestling for, if you're out there critiquing 8 women, young women in a wrestling ring, giving their all to entertain an audience, doing an 8-women tag match, and if they have the audacity to do an 8-person suplex, you're gonna call them out for it. I just don't know what the hell you've been doing for so many years watching wrestling if you don't understand the purpose of the 8-person tag match on the card, like what it's supposed to be. There's a lot of different wrestling, and not all of it is meant to be a serious competition. Hell, none of it's really meant to be a serious competition. We're telling stories within a wrestling ring. It's meant to entertain, and that's what an 8-person tag match is. It's meant to entertain. It's pure entertainment. Doesn't matter who the fuck wins. Doesn't matter who loses. It just matters whether you have fun. So when you're sitting there looking at it critically and being like, the 8-person suplex takes me out of the experience, you were never having the experience to begin with. You done fucked up the moment you walked in the door, taking this like a serious competition, placing bets on which side's gonna win and who's gonna get pinned and who's gonna come out on top. It's an 8-person tag match. You're supposed to turn your brain off for 10 fucking minutes and enjoy it, dipshit. I like this 8-man more than the men's on the same show. It was a great exhibition and display of diversity that exists in the women's division. Lots of wrestlers, different ages, experience, and backgrounds. Everybody got a chance to shine. The pacing was great. The crowd was hot for all of it. There were 2 really great parts. First being the 8-woman suplex, which popped everyone. Second, there was a 50-second exchange where each woman hit the other one with some of their better moves. That was all well done, an enjoyable match. And yeah, that is the correct take, and this match should have a much higher rating. I don't review a lot of women's matches on this channel because typically I find that people have like a fucking hatred boner when it comes to women's wrestling. I've even sat with other women wrestling fans who just fucking hate women's wrestling and just can't handle any of it. And so I typically avoid it here because it's a lot of nasty shit that people just cannot fucking tolerate. And that's the thing, guys. The fucking audience loved this match. The live crowd was into it. This is hands down one of the better wrestling matches that women have had on AEW. And maybe that says something, that the goddamn goofy spot fest 8-person tag match is the best, one of the best women's matches in AEW. It should probably be something else, but there's a lot of, another thing that I'm going to admit the elephant in the room. There's a lot of not so great women's matches throughout the history of AEW. That's a given, right? Don't take this as me saying that women's wrestling in AEW is the fucking best it can be. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this is a step in the right direction. These women look like they kick ass in this match. These women look like they're having fun in this match. Nobody gets hurt in this match. What is your fucking problem?
And now a word from our very nice, very evil sponsors.
Hey guys, on assignment here from Parts Unknown with Nigel McGuinness, the amazing announcer and magician.
Not Parts Unknown, is it? Where are we? Acme Comics in Greensboro, North Carolina. Come and check us out any chance you're in town, or if you're not, Nigel McGuinness's Magical Night is going all over America and all over the world, and there will be clam diggers like this showing up having the gall to wear this t-shirt. You'd think he'd have an idea, you'd think he'd watch the show, but instead Jeff spelt the American way.
Correct.
That means. What do you think of the show?
Oh my gosh, the show is phenomenal. If you're a fan of Nigel, if you're a fan of magic, if you're a fan of wrestling, and if you're a fan of fun and celebration, you need to go watch this show. It is worth the entirety of your day, your time, everything. Go see the show.
Worth your life, really. Let's be honest. You'd give your life for it, wouldn't you?
Definitely, in a heartbeat.
100%. So at McGuinness Nigel, follow me on social media. You can find all the information. Don't be a stranger. Ta-da!
Number 5.
So I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this review. I guess we want to call that a review. This diarrhea that was spewed onto the internet. I can't even read that shit. I can't even do it. Like, it's just so disingenuous and fucking cowheaded that I can't even imagine it. Like, I can't imagine that there are people that exist who have watched Orange Cassidy matches. Just go watch the last 10 Orange Cassidy matches. Say you've done that. And you're still going to say that he's a comedy wrestler or that he's not a legitimate talent, that his character work is bad, that you would only like him if you hated the WWE or whatever. You missed it. And I feel sorry for you. I actually feel sorry for people like this because they're incapable of enjoying what is probably the best time that we are having in wrestling since the Attitude Era or some shit, or the aggression. I don't know. We're experiencing a boom period in wrestling right now, unlike any other, regardless of what you're watching, whether you're watching AEW or WWE or TNA, you are watching an amazing point in history of wrestling programming across all aspects of wrestling, no matter what. Even if you're into independent wrestling, there's amazing independent wrestling going on right now. Everything about wrestling is amazing right now, and Orange Cassidy is a phenomenal talent. Shut the fuck up. Orange Cassidy comes out like a house on fire, then it slows way down. Bennett uses that speed to torment Orange Cassidy and build heat. Orange Cassidy is selling most of the match. Bennett ran out to do commentary at one point because they're clearly stretching for time. The high spots lost all momentum immediately after they happened, completely deflated the audience and myself. The beach break, flash pin ending did nothing for me either. I mean, that's up to you. This was slow and boring singles match. Honestly, I think I'm completely over Orange Cassidy. God damn, dude. He just had a banger last week. And that's the problem. Orange Cassidy just had an amazing fucking match last week with that hardcore match with Matt Taven.
I'm Matt Taven.
And if you didn't watch my review of that, go watch my review of that. We had a lot of fun with that. Matt Taven's phenomenal. And I made this little joke about nobody knows the other guy in the kingdom. It's Mike Bennett. I know Mike Bennett. Look, sometimes I make jokes, okay? Sometimes they suck.
What an idiot!
This was a really slow and boring match. The audience was not very engaged either. The match essentially lacked all the things that can make a colder Orange Cassidy singles match a decently good time. This match almost felt like it was trying to fill up time on the show. The finish had no... I mean, look, it had to follow fucking FTR and the Blackpool Combat Club. Orange Cassidy has been wrestling nonstop again. Beating himself up. I mean, they had a little segment there where they were the doctor was out there and he's like, I'm just barely clearing this guy to wrestle. I don't know what. Maybe there's a shred of truth to that. Maybe Orange Cassidy did need a little time off. And guys, are we just gonna ignore the fucking end of the match when Jake Hager comes out? Fucking Jake Hager comes out. I got fucking excited. I haven't seen Jake Hager in a minute. We haven't seen a good guy Jake Hager ever. We've never seen Jake Hager do anything in AEW that is that exciting. So maybe we're going to see that. I'm excited about that. Fuck the match. Jake Hager's back.
Number 4.
All respect to Trent, but this had no business going over 2 or 3 minutes. Trent is another guy that's essentially been booked the same his entire AEW career. I do think Wardlow needs to get in longer matches, but the way they booked Trent, this was at no time a real contest. And I could not fucking disagree more. The idea that Trent can't go 3 minutes with Wardlow is the whole fucking problem. And I am glad that this match was booked in a way to show that Trent can, in fact, go more than 3 minutes with a guy like Wardlow. And how did he do it? Did he do it by overpowering Wardlow? No. He had to be more clever. He had to be resourceful. He had to be a better technical wrestler. He had to be faster. And that's what I liked about this. It showed a lot of interesting aspects to Trent that we haven't seen from him in his AEW run. These are the kinds of things that we saw from him in Ring of Honor. Trent was a major player in the Ring of Honor tag team scene, along with Chuck, and they are AEW originals, and I think it's an awesome idea to let him shine against a guy like Wardlow and to rub off some of that wrestling knowledge that Trent has on Wardlow, which this match was one of Wardlow's better matches in his entire time in AEW, and it's because he was given something interesting to work with. It wasn't just a squash match. No, I do not think Trent should have been squashed here. I think we should have gotten exactly what we got. It did not make Trent look weak, or it didn't make him look like a pushover. It made Wardlow still look strong. And I thought that's what was really cool about this match, is that it did both things at the same time. It did a perfect balancing act, which is very hard to do with this sort of match. So that's why I give a lot of respect to this match and a much higher rating than what you're going to see on Cage Match.
Number 3.
Unbelievable. I mean, seriously, what are they actually working toward with Takeshita here? Do they want to build him up as a high caliber worker or not? Because having the evil heel manager win his matches for him does nothing except turn the heat on the heel manager, who is not supposed to be the focus. Awfully boring action that tries and fails to replicate some form of high spots anarchic feel by being unnecessarily violent without any enjoyment being parsed from it. Typically Jericho shit. Worse than their DDT match because they redid some key moments of that already bad match, but much worse and without any considerable weight behind them. Also, Jericho, sell something once in a while. React to the hard strikes that Takeshita throws at you maybe. These two went to another level for this one as TV matches go. The top rope Blue Thunder Bomb was ugly and beautiful. Watching Jericho and Sting take so many big bumps on one show had me cringing at points. Finish was a little imperfect, but Callis is still finding ways to get strong heat with the choices he and his stable members make to win matches. The screwdriver is so nasty, I love it. And I will never be one to badmouth what Don Callis does inside AEW. I think he's been a phenomenal heel, and who the hell is anyone else to say that the heat should not be on Don Callis? He can take it, he can transfer it. He is a professional asshole at this point, and I think it's brilliant. I don't think people hate anyone that stands around him. He is effortlessly able to transfer his heat onto anybody else. And I think it's really good for Takeshita to have a mouthpiece. I don't think who the fuck is going to argue that Takeshita doesn't need a mouthpiece at this point? Like, seriously. I mean, I guess he could come out and cut all of his promos in his native language, and maybe that would work out or whatever, but I don't think Don Callis is hurting him one bit. I've seen a lot of negative reviews around this match, also citing that the screwdriver finish somehow hurt Takeshita. Like, he needed Don Callis to hit Jericho with the screwdriver to win. Jericho's too strong. I didn't read that. At all. They've done nothing but put Takeshita over as a top threat. I mean, they had him beat Darby in the first Dynamite of the year, and he's been seen as nothing but dominant. For fuck's sake, he's the goddamn alpha. I don't see that at all. I don't think that hurt him here. The thing is, with a guy like Takeshita, who is so amazing in the ring, in every way, shape, and form, top rope spots, he's got him. Power moves, he's got him. You want striking, He can strike. Agility, speed, strength. He ticks all of the boxes. He is a damn near flawless professional wrestler. So it's going to be very easy for him to turn face. In fact, he did within weeks of his debut. He was over with the audience. They were backing everything he was doing. So it took a guy like Don Callis to take Takeshita and make him such an amazing heel right now. And I think he's got to stay there. He's got, like, the finish of this, the screwdriver thing, that's to make sure that he stays a heel, not to make sure that Jericho is protected. I really did not feel like Jericho was being overly protected here. He took some nasty, nasty bumps. Jericho worked his ass off on this match. As far as the claims that he wasn't selling, I didn't see that. Oh, look, a good Chris Jericho match is getting bad ratings simply because it's a Chris Jericho match. This match was pretty good. Had some gnarly moments that still made Takeshita look like the killer he is. Dude is super strong. Could have done without the Callis interference, but still a solid match. And yeah, I think that's absolutely what it is.
Number 2.
When will this end? It's gotten to the point where nothing Jericho does is even remotely entertaining. And the fact that this was essentially the closing segment, minus the great but way too short Sting moment on the Go Home episode before Revolution, is insane. Jericho needs to take a couple of months off, at the very least, to just garner some more interest in his character. Jericho was way off here. Atlan Jr. still looked good despite that. The stuff with Dad was at least interesting. No idea if that's Jericho's next feud, but sure, why not? Not coming out to Judas really showed how Jericho is not over at all. He's just an entrance at this point. I keep buying every Fozzy record I see and hope that they think they're big enough to go on a world tour and I don't have to watch them have crap wrestling matches on my TV. Oh shit, that's mean. Ugh, I feel like folks nowadays are being dishonest about Chris Jericho's in-ring work nowadays. Yes, he's definitely past his prime as a wrestler. However, he can still go in the ring and work good matches at his age nowadays. Seriously, there was only one sloppy moment in this entire match, and that was Chris Jericho sweeping Atlan Jr. into the steel steps nearly halfway into the match. Everything else ranged from solid to great. Jericho had some pretty good spots, such as the wicked avalanche facebuster, those still stiff chop fest, the top rope Hurricane Rana, that counter into the walls of Jericho at the end, which eventually transitioned into the Lion Tamer for the finish. Seriously, Jericho is in his 50s. He has no right to wrestle this well or work this stiff. It was pretty much what Jericho promised in his promo earlier that night, which was a violent match. As for Atlan Jr., this guy was freaking impressive too. His chops were so stiff, and that torture rack transition was just awesome. Both men deserve credit for playing their parts well in last night's match. This contest was not a 4.86. In fact, Jericho versus Atlan Jr. was much better than that criminally low number. Anyway, I give this really good match a strong 7.5 out of 10. And I gotta agree, this match got off to a slow, bad start, and I feel maybe people tuned out and just started typing on cage match before watching the rest of the match. And I agree, I'm there with you. I have Jericho fatigue as well. I said it on a podcast that I was enjoying Dynamite much more without Jericho on it. He hasn't been on in a few weeks. And it's more that I'm fatigued over his storylines. Have I said that I feel that Jericho needs to retire? Yeah, there's just so many more interesting things going on. And more than he needs to retire. I don't want to say that he needs to retire. Because Jericho can wrestle for as long as Jericho wants to. Jericho is an amazing person. Okay, he's an amazing wrestler. And I think he should wrestle for as long as he feels healthy and willing and able to do that. That's great. What I would like to see is just Jericho be Jericho and be over with the audience and do the Judas thing. The Lionheart thing is cool. Did it really pay off here? I mean, maybe. I gotta say, I didn't like the end of the match. I didn't like the end of the match at all. I think, what's the point of this if you're not gonna put over the new guy? If you're not gonna put over Atlantis Jr. Having Chris Jericho win, but still like be respectful in the end. I don't know. I just didn't make any sense. Like Jericho as a story, I'm over. Jericho as a person, I think is fantastic, and Jericho is great, and he was there at the start of AEW, and I'm not going to stop giving him his flowers for that. That was a really big move at the beginning of AEW to come aboard and bring that star power and bring that interest, and he said he's been nothing but a cheerleader for the company, and I think he's been a good thing for the company in general. He's had some amazing, legendary... I'm never going to forget the tickets.
It looks like that. It looks like Cody.
I'm never going to forget a little bit of the bubbly.
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
I'm never going to forget so many of the great things that Jericho has brought to AEW over the years. And I'm hoping that he'll have another, legendary story angle like that. I mean, keep rolling the dice, Jericho. It's bound to happen. The guy's a genius. It's gonna happen eventually.
Number 1.
This match was quite disappointing. Throughout the entire match, I was expecting Commander to land some attacks that never happened. The match was overly drawn out. Furthermore, Wardlow appears entirely disconnected from the Undisputed Kingdom, making him an ill fit for the group. To that I say, maybe that is the whole point. Have you ever considered that that is the plan the whole time? I mean, I think it's been telegraphed. Even in the very first promo on the first Dynamite, it was said by Adam Cole, like, hey, we got Wardlow and he's going to beat the champ and then he's going to drop the belt to me. My favorite part was the look from Wardlow at Adam Cole, like, hey, no fucking way I'm giving you this belt, little man. And that's kind of the story, guys. If you missed that, I'm sorry, but I'm here to tell you now, that is going to be the story. Wardlow is going to split from this group. Now, if your critique is that that is played out, then you're more accurate, right? Because it is. You got the big guy in the stable. He's treated like shit by everybody. And then he has to turn on them. Boom, babyface. I don't think this was anywhere near as good as the match between Wardlow and Trent. I think that was a much better version of this match. I feel like this was the lesser version of this kind of match. I felt like it was way too much of a squash on Commander. Not that Commander is should be higher up on the card than Trent, just that I think that either Wardlow needs to have a longer match where both sides get to look good, or we need to have a straight up squash match, which I don't think you should do on Commander, and that's where this leaned towards. If Commander is ever going to be a guy in AEW that is taken seriously at all, you can't have him being destroyed by Wardlow. Like, I don't even know why you put Commander in the ring with Wardlow to get destroyed like this. The Commander just ends up looking like a jobber here, straight up, and that's what I don't like about this one. An entertaining sprint that was far better than last week's match against Trent. Faster and more entertaining. I just hope Wardlow's knee is okay. This match might have gone a little longer than needed, but I like the setups for Wardlow's big offense. Whenever he caught Commander, his throws and slams were huge looking. The F10 in particular looked awesome. Credit to Commander for fully taking the bump. Commander's rope walks leading to the spinning power slam looked fluid and impressive as well. Hopefully Wardlow's knee just buckled, hyperextended on the finish, and he doesn't need to miss any time. Positive reviews seem to think that no one should be able to stand up to Wardlow. Wardlow fans think that nobody should be able to stand up to Wardlow. Wardlow should squash every wrestler on the roster. No one should get their shit in when they go up against Wardlow. And I don't know if we want to go that far. Do we really need to protect this guy as much as Goldberg? Like, Wardlow, I don't feel in this day and age needs to be set up and protected as much as we did Goldberg back in the day. As cool as I thought that shit was when I was a kid, I just think maybe we're a little bit past it. Maybe it's a little better if we don't bury half the fucking roster to make one guy look good. I think the match between Wardlow and Trent, you should definitely go watch that video after you watch this one. But if you want to see my thoughts on the Wardlow Trent match and some highlights from it too, because go remember it. Go remember Wardlow versus Trent. Compare it to Wardlow versus Commander and fucking tell me that wasn't just a better match all around for both guys. But okay, that's what I thought. I want to know what you think. Make sure you let me know down in the comments below. And grave diggers, keep digging.
Mr. Hartgrave, I heard you're a bit of a clam digger. Well, let's be honest, with a name like Hartgrave, probably going to stop soon. You're going to end up in the grave with that sort of an opinion. Nigel McGuinness, number 1. Well, number 6 in 2009. Bryan Danielson, 23, so very lucky.
Stop what you're doing, baby, and follow Mr. Hartgrave from parts unknown, if you will, baby.
I've seen the demon's face.
Mark joined one half a private party, say what up to the grave diggers, and keep doing your thing.
On my knees in praise of the horrible things that took her away.
Watch another video or be cursed.